Well, time now for Media Watch. I'm joined here in the studio by France 24's Emma James. Good to have you, Emma, as ever. You're starting with look at reactions to the death of the Chinese doctor. Of course, he tried to warn people about the coronavirus beforehand.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And amidst all the fear and misinformation, it seems like the Chinese people are really clinging to the memory of Dr. Li Wenliang as kind of a beacon of hope, if you will. The 34-year-old ophthalmologist was one of 8 people who was actually reprimanded by police for spreading rumours, something they say was illegal behaviour. And we're seeing lots of images like this being posted online, cartoons where the face mask that we've all seen him wearing has been replaced by something else. In this case, I think it's supposed to be the evil hand of censorship there keeping him quiet. He had tried to warn people about the threat of the then unidentified virus back in December. Had he been listened to, you wonder whether possibly that could have helped control the spread of it. This image has his face covered with barbed wire instead of a face mask to stop the spread of the virus. This gentleman saying that we should remember him how he really looked before his face was concealed by the coronavirus, as he put it. So that's a rare shot of him without the face mask. This person saying that he can finally speak freely after death, but really that's not entirely true because censorship continues to circulate around the story. And it's very interesting to see just how hard the authorities are working to keep information limited to what they want released. The New York Times reports on this one, saying that there's been a rare online revolt. And it is interesting that the scale of public reaction and the anger has actually managed to make itself heard. Censors, it seems, were slightly less quick out of the blocks this time around. But hashtags like "We want freedom of speech" and "the Wuhan government owes Dr. Li an apology" were all eventually censored on social media channels like Weibo and WeChat in China. One of the very popular phrases that's being shared a great deal is "He who holds the firewood for the masses is the one who freezes to death in wind and snow." And really that does sum up the story very poetically. There's also a quote from Dr. Li himself from one of his last interviews in which he said, "A healthy society should not only have one kind of voice." But it's interesting, there has been a huge amount of controversy surrounding the details of his actual death. And it does appear that the Chinese authorities have tried to control the information. And, well, it's a bit sinister, really, because it looks as though it's being reported he was declared dead at 21:30 at night, but then was reportedly put back on life support after the intervention of government officials. So then he was declared dead a second time shortly before 3 a.m. So it's a kind of final indignity, but clearly they were trying to control, if this is true, the timing of the release of this information, because he has become a martyr, a symbol really of China's repression of information.
As you say, the censorship being put into the spotlight there, thrust into the spotlight, if you will. There has been some unusually open criticism of Chinese authorities, Emma.
Yes, absolutely. And not just ordinary citizens voicing their contempt. It's worth remembering this is a country where you're not even allowed to compare the president to Winnie the Pooh. That's how much they like to control what people have to say. But even the state-affiliated newspaper, The Economic Observer, has come up with this front page calling for Li Wenliang's name to be cleared. They have also posted on social media saying that Dr. Li is telling us through his death what kind of future we will face if we lose the ability to express ourselves. The Wuhan authorities should vindicate them, meaning him and the others who were reprimanded for supposedly spreading false rumours, and pursue those who abuse their powers to suppress the rumour mongers. So very, very strong words there from a state-affiliated newspaper, very unusual stuff. It's also notable that certain big business figures have actually chosen to speak out as well. Very unusually unguarded, this one. The chairman of the investment bank CEC Capital said on Weibo, the Chinese social media site, "It's time to reflect on the deeply rooted stability trumps everything thinking that's hurt everyone. Will you be more stable if you cover others' mouths while walking on a tightrope?" Some people saying that the fact that the censors were a little slower off the mark, wondering whether this is maybe a crack in that Chinese control of information, saying that it took 12 hours for things like "we know they're lying, they know they're lying" to be taken off of social media. So much controversy and much discussion of this gentleman's death.
I'm sure is set to continue for a little while soon. Just looking at the wires here, 38 French people will be repatriated from Wuhan on Sunday. Emma, thank you very much for the roundup of the news there concerning the coronavirus.